Welcome to HousingWire's Demo Day. I am Jennifer Laws, EVP of Sales at HousingWire. Kicking us off is Aaron Jorgensen with CoreLogic. Aaron, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi, Aaron. Great to see you. Servicing a mortgage portfolio is a daunting challenge with hidden risks, requiring a holistic view and strong understanding of your portfolio. Portfolio intelligence and monitoring provides the business intelligence you need to make informed decisions. All transaction and property data are sourced automatically in the platform through an enhanced dashboard. Tell us more, Aaron.
Sure. Thank you. So portfolio intelligence and monitoring gives you insights into a number of areas within your portfolio. Collateral risk, senior lien information, equity analysis, and then today we're going to focus a little bit on foreclosure activity, HOA liens, as well as senior lien information. So within the platform, we provide day-to-day monitoring of all of these use cases and these elements. So I'm going to look at some portfolio monitoring changes in this sample portfolio. We're going to see like 19 properties where there's some form of foreclosure activity. 3 properties that we're going to look into a little more detail where there's some ownership information to review. Our platform allows you to drill into the detail, provide insights into each of the relevant use cases, voluntary lien, which includes lien position, equity analysis, and senior lien information, property information, foreclosure data. We're going to spend some time on that today, and then special lien information as well. Special lien are involuntary liens like HOA liens, property tax liens, and we also include PACE liens. So just clicking into some of the foreclosure information here, and then what this view provides is each of the detailed records that is presented within the relevant dashboard, monitoring changes, foreclosure activity, and then we're going down into the kind of the detail of this property, provided the input information that's like the property address, the borrower information, and anything that's representative from a portfolio. But then we provide insights into the source of a foreclosure, whether it's an HOA or a mortgage servicing lien. So this particular property, when I look at first, happens to be this property here. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this loan ID and move it into another page where we are showing the actual detail transactionally as well as the analysis behind the property. So identifying an ownership start date. So the ownership start date is the first date that the borrower takes ownership of the property, the first recorded arm's length deed. We start our analysis from that point forward. So in this case, July of 2018 is where we're starting our analysis, and we identify a lis pendens that's been filed by the HOA back in March. And Florida being a super lien state, it is noteworthy to be able to pay attention to this from a portfolio surfacing perspective to watch for risk in regards to your collateral. So we provide a detailed view of all the transactional history in the property, starting with the warranty deed for this particular borrower, going back to now the present time for this lis pendens. The information I'm displaying on the screen is demo data. It is actual real transactions, but we've replaced the names and the parties and the address with some actual demo information so that we're not presenting information on a particular property or borrower, even though this is actually real transactional data. So you're able to drill into any of these records. And then also we have available the ability to view the actual transaction or the instrument itself. So if there was a question on a particular lien, in this case, this lis pendens, you're able to download a PDF view of that document image, as well as view it within the platform. So going back to our monitoring view here, we're able to actually download this into an Excel file or whatever platform you need. Some cases people want to import it into a reporting system, but in most users will download to an Excel file. And a lot of times they'll like to mark up, filter, and change things as they go forward. So looking at another example of one of our dashboards, but going into the property and ownership information. So we base our analysis on identifying a corresponding match between a borrower, so your servicing borrower, and the vested owner of the property. From that information, then we identify any type of foreclosure activity. I noted that list pendants earlier for the HOA, but also looking at the kind of the beginning foreclosure process. So those are the notice of sale, notice of default, and notice of foreclosure, and any type of actual completed foreclosures as well. In the case here where we have a foreclosure auction that's been held with a scheduled date of these 253 properties in this demo population. Back to the ownership matching, we identify from the provided borrower a match to that vested deed and identify, does that borrower still own the property, or has there been some form of transfer? Transfers being a arm's length transaction where they've sold the property since, transactions where they've vested it or potentially sold it or otherwise transferred the property into a scenario where you would need to review as an unconsented transfer. And those are situations where we identify the current owner is not the client borrower. And that information, the same way, can be drilled into be able to identify, in this perspective, you want to see the ownership information. So we provide your input data as far as the borrower and be able to match up with the current owner and whoever was vested on the last recorded deed. So let's go look at another example here. So from what we discussed earlier as far as HOA liens, HOA foreclosures, we also provide information on senior lien data. So senior lien from a perspective of lien position, identifying other liens that are senior to your lien position. And we look at both a valuation perspective of the total home value, power of X, AVM, that's the CoreLogic AVM, and then use, in this instance, a estimated unpaid principal balance using the market rate at time of origination for that senior lien. And then we calculate equity from the AVM, the senior lien balances, and I can show you in a moment some different perspectives of those balances and the equity perspective on the portfolio. So this particular portfolio, we have actually a number of properties with a high values as far as the equity values and being able to drill into each of these as we need to. But we'll look at another example of a property where there's some foreclosure activity that's occurred from the senior lien. So I'm going to drill into that a little bit more. Look at the ownership start date here back in 2021. We have a notice of default filed back in April where we have identified that the current owner is impacted by foreclosure activity. And then we have estimated the subject lien, or what we call client lien, is in second position. We've also identified that there's an HOA lien on this particular property, but we're focusing on a little bit more so this notice of default. So this notice of default is referenced as being tied to the other lien one being the senior lien, which is then you can see kind of a history from our transactions looking at the assignment, the HOA lien I just mentioned, but then the most notable item here is this notice of default. Some of our customers will then use this information to identify the equity position, look at the AVM, the total or the valuation of the property, and then make a decision from there if they want to bid at sale, if they need to charge off, or any other type of decisioning in regards to a potential default. And again, this property, the same type of usage, being able to download this notice of default, or actually view the individual details as far as that transaction is respected. So let's just look at another quick view perspective of our data. So for special lien analysis, we call it special lien. It's really because there is information in this portfolio, in this analysis of the portfolio, that are not truly involuntary liens, and they're not quite voluntary or mortgage liens. Those would include something like a PACE lien or mechanics lien. So we do provide insights into all other types of liens in addition to mortgage liens. So you can actually, in this case, I clicked on Florida. I want to look at the HOA lien population within this portfolio. I did a little bit more focused in this demo to show these 1,473 HOA liens. But we identify also within this portfolio city county tax liens, more likely property tax liens, the energy efficiency or PACE lien, as well as some other types of liens like an abatement lien or sanitation lien. Each of these views can be drilled into a little bit more detail to identify scenarios. Let's just do a little bit of more of an abstract view here of these PACE liens. I want to look at the equity balances on these PACE liens and be able to look at this small population and really look at the perspective of this portfolio down to the property or loan level to identify the AVM that we identified, in this case, just over $1 million for this particular property. And then using additional calculations, like I mentioned earlier, we use the estimated UPB calculation based on basically a standard amortization schedule with a market interest rate to identify balances. In the absence of that, or as a preference to that, we also have the unique ability to do a soft credit pull using information ordered through Credco to be able to pull in the senior balances, the status on the senior lien, as well as the other balances. So we provide identification of equity perspectives. So the total open liens, the open liens with the senior plus client, as well as the equity calculations for each, and then CLTV drawn down there. So then to kind of wrap up, so I've shown the property ownership, the foreclosure and ownership information, voluntary lien position, equity, special lien, which are those involuntary or HOA liens, and then looking at kind of a holistic view of the portfolio here to wrap things up. So in this instance, I've got 13,000 properties that I'm monitoring. Those are really changes that could occur on a day-to-day basis as CoreLogic is recognizing each of those recorded transactions, and then being able to go in and view a little bit more of the information on the ownership, foreclosure, lien position, equity, and then kind of down into what those special or involuntary liens. So we give a pretty good holistic view of all the opportunities as well as some of the risks within the portfolio.
Aaron, thank you so much for taking
Yep.
us through portfolio intelligence and monitoring. I have a few questions before we wrap up today. First,
Sure.
what are the top uses for this platform?
So the primary uses is the collateral risk. And I spent a lot of time today on that with HOA liens, unconsented ownership transfers, any type of foreclosure activity, as well as senior lien monitoring. So if it's in today's market with home equity line of credits, being able to identify those type of servicing activities and looking at what's really happening with those senior lien when you're not servicing the senior lien. And then from there, also looking at equity analysis. So be able to do a full portfolio equity analysis on a periodic basis to know your position in the market and any risks that occur as far as equity.
And how does portfolio intelligence and monitoring compare to other industry players?
So instead of a one-time solution offered by many of our competitors, portfolio intelligence and monitoring brings in kind of a one-stop shop with multiple data sources. So in addition to the CoreLogic transactional data, we also have the CoreLogic total home value with power of X, AVM. We have the access to credit bureau information through Credco. And we really give that as kind of the baseline for a lot of the CoreLogic data in the CoreLogic data ecosystem to be able to combine with our logic and be able to give a good portfolio view from the platform. And it's really based on market and market feedback as well as our existing clients.
And most importantly, how can someone get started with portfolio intelligence and monitoring today?
Sure. Any mortgage servicer can get started today either by booking a one-on-one consultation or emailing our team. So there's going to be a website shared that provides a little bit more information on portfolio intelligence and monitoring, as well as an email address and a form that you can submit. From that, we'd love to talk to you and show you how portfolio intelligence and monitoring can meet your specific business goals, as our platform addresses not only mortgage servicing needs, but other data and use cases. So if that's you, click on the links being shared in the chat to learn more or contact us to schedule a more in-depth demo.
Aaron, thank you so much for sharing this information for us.